And we are live.
Oh, good.
And live from Playa del Rey. It's Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Not Saturday night, but it's Tuesday morning.
Not Saturday night, indeed, but Tuesday morning. So how's everybody doing this wet and windy here in LA day? Can you see us, Mart? You can't see us yet. It says we're live. Okay, well, jolly good. We're good to go from Martin up in the control booth. So today we're super excited to have I won't say old friend because she's not old.
She's not old. She's no old friend.
A good friend of ours all the way from New York. She's been touring the country and still got a couple more stops to go before the holidays. The wonderful, the iconic, the one and only May Pang will be joining us shortly.
Yay.
May was born where she is now in Manhattan, New York. She's the daughter of Chinese immigrants and she grew up in Spanish Harlem. In about 1970, May began working at ABKCO Records, Alan Klein's management company, handling the catalog of Apple Records and that was representing ex-Beatles. Through that job, she wound up working for John Lennon and Yoko Ono, first assisting on some of their early film and art projects, and then later becoming their personal assistant and production coordinator. During Lennon and Ono's separation from 73 to 75, May and John had a romantic relationship, and John later referred to this period as his lost weekend. During this time, Lennon was highly productive solo-wise. Albums like Mind Games and Walls and Bridges were made, the latter containing his only solo US #1 during his lifetime, which when I was researching it, is amazing to believe, which is Whatever Gets You Through the Night. May contributed in various ways. She worked as a production coordinator, including on Rock and Roll, and was credited and informally involved in several projects, helped with mixing and logistics, plus contributed backing vocals. Also, she was photographed with John, often documenting their life together. She also, most importantly, I think, helped facilitate Lennon's relationship with his son, Julian, whom he hadn't seen much in the preceding years. She got the band back together, in other words. Her movie, The Lost Weekend, a love story, which is fabulous. It's a must. We watch it like every 6 weeks. It can be seen on Amazon Prime worldwide and other places too, but Amazon Prime is the easiest way to find The Lost Weekend. We'll be talking about that shortly. Recently, May has been on an extensive USA-wide gallery tour with Scott Siegelbaum, the producer, and with images from her book Instamatic Karma and others, which feature rare images of the whole aforementioned Lost Weekend. She's also a jewelry designer, and you can find out much more at the addresses in the crawl across the bottom of your screen. And most importantly, sign up for her VIP newsletter fan club at maypang.com. Without further ado, I'll quit yakking and get the goddess of all things on here. Welcome, May.
Hello, May.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And you?
I'm good. It is a cloudy day. I'm just looking out, and it's a cloudy day. We had such a bad rainstorm yesterday, and
where were you? You got out just in time, didn't you?
I was in Manasquan, New Jersey, which is a shore down. I would always say Bruce Springsteen country. It's that area, and it was right near Asbury Park. And Thursday, I arrived there. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it was beautiful. Sunday, it was like, what just happened? Who turned on the faucet?
Oh, God.
And I got out in time because they kept saying it's a nor'easter. And nor'easter doesn't mean snow, but it means the wind and rain. Well, they pushed it back to maybe, because we ended our show on the Sunday like at 4. And I left almost immediately after, got on the train, came back home, and it was raining, but normal. By the nighttime, it was
insane.
It was insane. And all day yesterday, it was just brutally, it's chilling cold, that type of rain.
Nasty. Yeah. Well, we're all indoors and warm and cozy and looking forward to a chit chat and a cup of tea and catching up with you and everything.
Yeah.
So obviously we're marking just last week what would have been John's 85th birthday and the whole month and all. How difficult, how emotional is that for you? How do you sort of prepare yourself for here we go again? And,
Well, it's really a different type of thing. I prefer always talking about John on his birthday, and I don't think about the other one because to me he's still around. His spirit is still here. Everything we do, you hear his radio, you look up, he's in a book, or I'm like, people talking. so I don't feel like he's gone. And so I'm just happy to know that he's somewhere, he's safe wherever he is now, you know. And there's George and now Cynthia. He's got the family up there, and
That's
Mimi and everyone. And I'm just hoping he's looking down and taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, we were having dinner on the 9th, and we have a marble kitchen table. It's, you know, solid marble, and just regular wooden chairs, nothing fancy. And I was setting the table before dinner on John's birthday, and we have a little lazy Susan in the middle with napkins, salt and pepper.
Yeah.
And son of a bitch, if there wasn't a white feather right in the middle of the lazy Susan.
I'm just telling you, he's just around. I just know when he's around.
Yeah.
I don't tell people. I just say, okay, you got me. What is it that you want? You know, he always lets me know, and that's fine. And, you know, it's, you just know it, and it's a better time to celebrate. I rather say, happy birthday, John, are you good, than to talk about December 8th. You know, that to me is not even in my brain.
Yeah, no, it's not a day
Yeah.
we even thought. But yeah, no, I think there are other things out there in the universe. I mean, right now we've got 3i Atlas speeding through our galaxy and Oumuamua and all of that stuff. Now, you know, you spill the tea on TeaFlix.
Yeah, let's spill the tea indeed. Tell us about your infamous UFO experience in New York, mate.
Oh, I know, you know, I was, you know, when I'm on the road and I go to these gallery showings, there are people that are dying for certain questions. That one about the UFO is one of them. And, you know, they go, oh, they tell me how they go by the mosaic in Central Park. And I say, that's very lovely. And then I turn around and I say, I just want you to know that I don't have the same feeling. It's a lovely place for you to visit because John used to walk there. But my place is by the East River on the other side of town, because that's where John and I lived, where Julian used to come and stay with us there, Mick Jagger, Paul and Linda, Bowie, you know, Elton. Everybody came to that part of where you heard him talking to everyone, hanging out. It was on the other side of town. So I just want to clear it up so that they know that's where we spent our time. And he was standing out on the balcony, on our little balcony. And people just know our little apartment was little. It probably was no more than 800 square feet. They've since revamped it and changed it and incorporated into a bigger apartment, but that's not our apartment. It's about 800. And it was it's very tiny. And it was in fact, our living room was our bedroom as well. We gave our tiny little bedroom for Julian. So when he came to town, that's where he stayed.
Oh, Cully.
Yeah. So he's out there we're out there about 9 o'clock at night. I'm gone in to make a call to get the pizza man up, you know, because that was dinner time. And it's a Friday night in August. And it's August 23rd to be exact. And it's because at that time, you know, everybody's in the Hamptons. It's New York. Nobody's around where we lived. It was like everybody was gone, out of town. And he's having his ciggy. He smoked those awful cigarettes, the Gauloises. That's what he used to smoke.
Oh, God, the French ones?
Yeah.
Stanky.
Yeah. And he knew since I didn't smoke, that stuff stinks the house up, and especially when there's no air that moves. So he goes out and he's smoking it, and he's saying, so all of a sudden I hear my name called out, and I don't pay attention. And finally I hear it a second time. I went, uh-oh, something's up. So I go running out and I go, what is it that you, and I went, oh my God. He goes, you're seeing what I'm seeing. And I'm staring at it and I start screaming, it's an effing UFO. And I'm like, oh my God. And you could see the outline. You could see the whole thing.
Wow.
It was circular. It had white lights on the rim going on and off, one red light on top. And I guess the shade of this object was, you know, dark gray, a metal. It was dark. And underneath and surrounding it were the heat waves that you would see on the street when the street gets red. And you could see it clearly just underneath it. No noise. I could hear the street below me. I could hear every car that was honking. But the thing that was directly above me, maybe 2 to 3 stories over our heads, that's all it was. I could hear nothing. And it was just going at a pace very slow. And then all of a sudden it sped up. Then it went sideways. And we're both looking at each other like, oh my God, it's doing all this acrobatic stuff in the sky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I watched it for a good solid 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
So it was taking its time going around the UN building, just going downriver because we face the East River. So it's going down and it sat over the buildings what I call the Waterside Towers on 23rd Street.
Right.
And I said to someone, I said, if you came out and we were on the roof and I told you that blinking light at the bottom was the UFO, and you would say, oh, you're out of your mind because you can't tell.
Right.
But when I watched it, I kept my eye on it. It was there. And when it finally started to move, it moved over the bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge. And I'm watching this thing and I'm going, John, look at this. Look. It's going towards Brooklyn. And then he goes, what do we know? But it stayed over the bridge for a second. And then all of a sudden it just stopped and it just went. I watched it go straight up.
I wonder if they filmed you.
Oh,
yeah. You know what? You might be, never mind the people you put in your film, you might be in the aliens
that's
film.
true. I might be in their film, considering we were in our birthday suits.
Oh,
late-
that's the best part of the
nice.
story.
I was, he just went out. It was just so blistering humid and hot. And it was nighttime and no one could see us. And I'm screaming, it's a UFO. Not my neighbors who could have just come out easily. Not one light was on, nothing. And
Sammy in Atlanta is asking, did you ever talk to anybody else who subsequently who saw it?
I had somebody called different places. Nobody contacted the Times. Figured back then nobody would. But the Daily News, they got a few calls. The local police station got a few calls that they had sent. Yeah.
Wow.
But it wasn't enough at that moment to generate, oh my God, there's something out there. Because it just looked like anything, like a helicopter in the sky, if you saw from a distance.
Right.
There was no noise.
But if you're
noise?
so up to it and you see the shape, then you're alarmed. But if you from a mile away, you just think it was another helo.
Correct. So it didn't matter. And it was, like I said, it was a Friday in the summer and nobody is in town. They've all disappeared.
Gone to the beach. Sure. That Friday night. Good grief. What an experience.
Yeah.
That should be your next book. I saw a UFO with a naked John Lennon.
Well, the whole thing is I was trying to find clothes to greet the pizza guy.
Oh, of course. Oh, my Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it gives a whole new meaning to shows you bummed, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't it?
My goodness.
Oh, my goodness. That's good.
Speaking of films, and you've been in their film, what was the final, and Brendan is asking in Ireland,
Yes.
Is there currently a book available with all of the pictures of John and you? I think Instamatic Karma's out of print, right?
Out of print. I decided not to reprint it. It's out of print. He'll have to go searching.
Yeah. So it's called Instamatic Karma, Brendan.
Might find it in thrift books.
No, God, no. It'd be worth a fortune.
Oh, I
You'd have to
know,
get it from an antique dealer, I would think, at this point. So you have all this material. You've released your book. You've done your thing. What finally inspired you, or was it talking to somebody like Crystal or whatever that said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to make this movie. I'm going to make this documentary.
What it actually had happened was Eve Branstein, one of the 3 producers, was in town. I hadn't seen her in a while. And I went to see her and we were about to have dinner. And so I said to her, what are you up to? She goes, oh, I'm working on different things. And one of the things I'm doing is I work on documentaries. And I mean, literally right at that moment, I turned around and I said, that's what I want.
Oh,
she looked at me.
Came to you just like that.
Just like that. And she goes, you want to do a documentary? I said, yes, I need it. I want that done. And she brought it to Richard Kaufman and Stuart Samuels. And Stuart Samuels was the archivist in the group. Everybody came with their strength to the table.
Great.
And Richard was a filmmaker, and Stuart was the guy that came up, a brainchild of different things, like what was it? He worked on the Beatles touring year, the one that Ron Howard did. He provided a lot of the stuff for that. And I'm glad, poor Stuart, he's left us last year sometime, and I'm just glad that you saw the making of this film finished. So that
what I particularly enjoyed, apart from your narration, which must have been heartbreaking, was the use of the graphic elements. It turned it into almost like a graphic novel. It's fantastic. What a great idea for where to fill in where you didn't have film. Nobody had film.
Nobody. It was just tough
with iPhones, right? I mean, we didn't snap everything. You did because you were a photographer, but for the most part, every day the Beatles went somewhere, they weren't being followed around by a film crew 7 days a week.
Especially at home. This was more home. I wasn't going to be taking my cameras every moment, although he had allowed me to, but it was like, you got to be kidding me. This is our home. I'm not going to do that. But it was, the documentary was a passion of mine, and it took a lot, because it's truly, as I tell people, it's truly an independent film. Because we had to raise the money. This was not made by a studio. And we did get a couple of offers where people said, well, if we hand in X amount of dollars, do we get a say in it? Right. And I said, so they said, if we do that, then we've let May down, because we know what she wants and we're promising her that. If we do that, then somebody else, they take my film and they do what they want. It's not my film anymore.
Well, I love that when the bank comes in and says, well, we know your story better than you do. Let us tell your story for you.
Yeah.
How about get stuffed?
It's so true. And and I really am very grateful and thankful for all the investors that came, because they believed in me, and they put money behind me, and they have yet to see penny one. That they're still there, and because they believed in me.
Yeah, as they should. It's a really it's a seminal piece of art in the Beatles history, and Beatles history again keeps being told and retold. But my God,
and it's always changing, and I'm like, why does it keep changing? But it does.
I know.
Oh, I know.
Don't we know that one? Yep.
Yeah.
And moving on.
I mean, to just put it in perspective for all the people that did see, the reason I did do is because to tell the story and to correct a lot of stories. No, Yoko did not send us out to LA. She didn't even know we were out there. I had to convince John to, why don't we call the office, because nobody knows where we are. Right. And they didn't. It was done on the spur of the moment when Harold Sider, who was John's lawyer, said, he was having a meeting with John on a Saturday. And he said, oh my God. He goes, so he says, oh, so Harold, when are you leaving to go home? He lived in LA. And he said, well, I'm on a 6 o'clock flight or something like that tonight. And he goes, okay. And he looks at me, John looks at me, and he goes, we're going on the plane with you. That was just as quick. And I'm standing there going, we are?
I live in New York. Wait.
But the whole thing is that we were just wanting to go for a break, not to go for any length of time. But we didn't know when we were coming back. So I said, I think I better make some reservations and anything else, and pack. So that's what we did. That's how we ended up going to LA with Harold. And we didn't even have a place to stay. And Harold goes, you two stay at my place. I know where I'm going to go somewhere else. When I said, Harold, are you sure? I don't want to throw you out of your, I'm fine. You take my place. So I stayed in West Hollywood. We stayed in West Hollywood at his place.
Right. And then just want to mention Val and Gary Morrison are commenting. Husband Gary and I completely enjoyed your documentary and read your book many years ago. You're great. And with me saying, Beatles history is being told and retold, and it touched so many lives. Val and Gary have also written a great book, which Angie and I are both fans of. You guys, if you're listening, should pick that up. But it's just such a wonderful thing to be able to sit in front of your film and hear it from, I'm not calling you a horse,
but horse's mouth.
The horse's mouth, as opposed to the horse's arse. And I'm sure you know what you understand what I mean. But it must have been super emotional working on it.
Absolutely. I mean, what I did, and I told Eve, Richard, and Stuart, listen, they filmed me talking, because at the end, you saw that, and they got all the information. And I said, talk to me if you need me. I did not want to be the type of person that sat there and said, what did you do today? Can I see? And I did not want to be on top of them. So I really left them alone until it was ready for them to need me to do the narration, which I didn't even realize I was going to do, and everything else. So, yeah.
And Billy Amendola, our Staten Island brother, says hello.
Oh, there he is. Hello, Billy.
Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Billy was on TeaFlix a short while ago, and it was fabulous.
Yes.
So thanks for tuning in. Ange had a question about, when you're compiling stuff for the documentary.
Yeah, when you look back at those photos and that period of your life, what sort of memories stand out? The outstanding memories that you always go back to.
Oh my God. I think some of the best memories I have, and there were some photos I've never seen, some footage I'd never seen. They obviously got a service to search around the world. And yet there was one picture they couldn't find. And I was lucky I had it. And that was me being on the front page of the Evening Standard.
Oh.
Okay. They couldn't find it anywhere. Wow. And I found it, and they took the picture of it, and I said, "What's on the headline? I got to see the headline on this." And it was Jeremy Thorpe.
Jeremy Thorpe, do you remember him?
Oh,
yeah. So it's a scandal. People who are not of British know what was going on. There was a whole scandal there, but that was on the front page. And in the middle is this giant picture of me. Could this be Lennon's new girlfriend? And I'm staring. I said, "It is me." But I don't know who took the photo. There's no bylines. There's no nothing.
Wow.
So to this day, I have no idea where that photo came from, who took it, or anything. But I look at that documentary, and the things I did see were things that just, the animation to the song, but you hear the music to it. You hear the other one would be the story I tell about John and Paul when we were riding in the cab, that whole thing, that one. I don't want to spoil for anybody. It is true.
No, that's why we're asking, so you can keep your special parts in the movie.
Yeah. And it was, the thing at Elton John that a lot of people had no idea. And no, that was not the first time that Yoko had seen John. We talked to her all the time. She used to call us anywhere up to 10, 20 times a day, just to say nothing.
Did you ever answer with one ringy dingy, like a freaking switchboard operator, right? Oh my God.
I know.
20 times.
It was insane, because I knew it would be always her, because I'm always the one answering the phone. He didn't answer. I would just go, "Oh, hello." I just hand the phone over, because I know she's not. There wasn't anything important. And only once in a blue moon that, she just wanted to question. She had no idea where, we stayed at Harold's house. We stayed at Lou Adler, the producer, at his house. We stayed at Beverly Wilshire. That was a nice place. And then in the end, we finally stayed when we were making the Harry Nilsson album. Harry rented the house that Peter Lawford once owned, not John. And we rented it for the recording of it. So we had the main room. We had the main bedroom.
Yeah. Who were your roommates? Tell me.
Oh, well, we had let's see. We had Ringo on one side, Keith Moon on the other. Let's see. Klaus Vormann was down the hall, Harry Nilsson, and Hilary Gerard. So that was the housemates.
Oh my God, you couldn't cast that if you had a casting director, could you?
And then during the day, you got the other group of characters that would drop by, the Mal Evans, and then you have Jim Keltner or Jessia Davis, and you name it, they came by.
Wow, what a period of your life, and a great location. I pass that house all the time. It's completely done, but it's in a gorgeous spot.
But here's the best one. So I remember shortly when we got there, there was a party at Peter Lawford's house at his new place.
Right.
And I found Peter. He was sitting on the floor with a cigarette, his eyes, he's already stoned out of his mind. He's like smoking a cigarette. And I said, Peter. He goes, oh, hello, May. It's all this. And he goes, I said, Peter, we just rented a house. And then I tell him, Pacific Coast Highway.
All right.
And he goes, and he looks at me, takes a cigarette, closes his eyes, just takes the puff. He lets it out. He goes, and then he goes, and he looks at me, he goes, some good times, some really good times.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, happy birthday, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And I can't tell you what it was like back then with that Rat Pack, that the things, the stories you heard and read about all these people. And here
Right.
I'm talking to one of them.
Well, I mean, there was the whole Rat Pack thing when Peter Lawford had the house, the Sinatra
Yeah.
Rat Pack and Monroe. But then you were kind of the maven of the rock and roll Rat Pack, weren't you?
Sort of, yeah. It's funny. I mean, I had to deal with, people said Phil Spector. He was absolutely the worst. I can't even tell you. And he wanted to, we never had any liquor at our recording sessions ever in New York. So
No.
this was the first time. I kept saying to John, what's this? And he goes, I don't know. We were always there. I don't know. One musician wrote that, when Phil and John appeared for the session, John and I were always there before Phil. Phil came on his own. And I remember when he would come in, he was always 3 hours late. John was never like, yeah.
The clock's ticking on the studio by the hour.
Yeah, I know. So John was like tearing his hair out because he doesn't like that,
No.
And so it was so weird because that one night he'd come as a doctor, another night he comes as a karate expert. Yeah. So it's just wild. We had no idea he was taking the original tapes home every night. So one night he wanted John to come with him. I said, well, I'm coming. He goes, so Phil looked at me. He goes, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. So I'm following them out to his car. And he said, you're not coming with us. I said, yes, I am. John had already gotten into the car and he was drunk and he didn't know what was happening. This was Phil's thing, which had I known, he got everybody drunk. It wasn't just John. It was everyone in the studio was out of it. And I'm the only straight one sitting there, And I said,
Right.
yes, I am going with you. He said, no, you're not. He got his bodyguard, George, to pick me up physically and remove me.
Oh,
Oh my God! Today you would sue them for like physical assault, wouldn't you?
I know. And I was furious.
I bet.
Furious.
Wow.
I chased after them, believe me. But the thing is, this is the antics I had to do because Phil always wanted. It's the
Control.
let me see how high could you jump? I want to see this. I mean, the things that when he shot the gun off the studio, here's a girl from Spanish Harlem. Everybody's ducking under the console. I'm standing going, what just happened? And
Right.
I go running towards the sound. Everybody's ducking.
Right.
And I open the door and there's Mal on one side. John's in the middle with the ear going like this. And Phil's got the gun. And Mal's going, he goes, I said, what just happened? And Mal goes over to Phil and goes, give me that gun. And he goes, you can't tell me what to do, that type of thing. And John's going, Phil, you're going to shoot me, but don't mess with me ears, man. I need them.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Mal was a big enough tall tree to be able, and Phil was a pipsqueak, wasn't he?
Correct. So I said, Mal, what just happened? And he goes, we were just horsing around. And whatever Phil was doing, he was hitting Mal's nose and it was hurting him. And he said, so Mal kindly said, Phil, can you not do that? It really hurts. Of course, he would do it more. And it did. And to the point, and he just kept doing it until finally, when he pulled out the gun from the holster, it just went off. Now, he could have shot somebody. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
when
Or
everything,
ricochet if it
yeah,
had hit the
it
metal.
could've- absolutely. So I said, is everybody okay? Everybody's fine. We went back to recording. Now, next day, John and I are having dinner. We're sitting there and I look at this, we're in some restaurant And I look up and I see Mal. I said, "What's Mal doing?" He says, "Mal's here." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Found you." And I said, "What's up?" But he goes, "I just wanted to show you the bullet from last night." And we're like, "Bullet? What bullet?" And then we realized, because all this time, we always thought he had blanks, and they were not blanks.
Oh my God, they were
Wow.
real bullets.
They were real bullets.
George from the Strawberry Alarm Clock says, "Holy crap!" And I agree with you, George.
Yeah.
Oh my
There you
Lord.
go. So here I am, this 23-year-old girl, dealing with this nuttiness this whole time.
Wow.
And there are stories in from another book of recent times here that said something about he told Phil that he should untie John because there was an incident. And I said, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. This other person was not there.
Oh
my
God,
God.
yeah. Phil was definitely.
So I know. I'm looking at, and I'm looking at all these stories that everybody have inserted themselves in that I know they weren't there. Everybody forgot that I really am around, and I did not drink or smoke or take anything. So because I melted into the background, they thought I didn't exist. But I got everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were those wild nights at the Troubadour with Harry Nilsson. And speaking of, I read somewhere that there's an auction coming up of a pair of John's glasses that he lost on the 12th of March at 1974 when he and a very merry Harry Nilsson interrupted a Smothers Brothers performance. I mean, didn't the Troubadour have a lost and found when he realized he'd lost his glasses?
Well, obviously, whatever that lost and found, whoever found the glasses back then never told us. And to this day, I never knew it until more recent times that Tommy Smothers' wife, when I read it, that she found them. And I thought, well, how come he didn't return them? Luckily, John carries spare pairs, but still, they were his. It was never returned.
And then they were very distinctive. If you were with the Smothers Brothers and you knew John Lennon was in the audience, you would know they were John's glasses if you found them.
Yeah, well, obviously she knew.
They were.
Because she's held on to him until now. Wouldn't you have returned them is right.
That's got to be 50. Well, it's 51 years.
Yeah, 74. Yeah.
They're still circulating.
No, they're going to be put up for auction next month. And the person auctioning them is.
I think it's in this week. I thought.
Is it this week?
Really?
So if you found somebody's famous's belongings, wouldn't you just return it?
No, obviously.
Well, the whole thing is that it's John's, and you're supposed to, but they didn't. Wow. And luckily, like I said, he had spare pairs, but that still doesn't give them the right,
Wow.
So
well, I guess they were operating undefined as keepers, and I'll hang on to this until.
I know. I mean, listen, I was just sort of so shocked and surprised that when I read that she had them, and I'm like, well, how come you didn't return them?
Well, if it was her that found them, she may have been given them by somebody with a long, tail attached to it. Who knows? But
we don't know. And I just think that
accuse her.
No matter what, you still try to say, oh, listen, these I found, these I hear they belong. See if they belong to him.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like a napkin that he'd signed or a piece of paper, or it was, something he needed to see because he was blind. We all know he's blind as a bat.
He is blind as a bat. With the two of us, if we didn't have our glasses on, we were like blind leading the blind. It's really funny.
That is wild. So all of this time winds up. You wind up back in New York and producing and doing your thing and having your kids and all of that. Back from your sort of Chinese and art and artistic roots, Ange wants to know.
Yeah, shifting gears. What led you to your interest in Feng Shui and then designing a jewelry line?
Well, my mother had always instilled the Feng Shui in me. And she used to tell me about it's not good Feng Shui for this. And so I'm going, for God's sakes, Mom, leave me alone already with this. But I grew up with it all my life.
Ah,
So I never even thought about it as something different. It was just part of my life.
I see.
Yeah. So, it's like somebody's telling you you can't do something. It's part of your,
Yeah.
and
part of-
whatever you tell Ruth, whatever it might be, don't cross the street over here. You should do this. It's whatever it was my way of life. It was always
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, when you grow up with traditions like don't walk under a ladder and, never pass a black cat, or, don't step on the correct sidewalk. I guess it's the Chinese version of all of that, right?
Correct. It's
Yeah.
everything. Because if you think about it, it's very, in Hong Kong, any of the business people, if they have a new office, they always have a geomancer. He's the guy who comes in and
Oh.
does and measures out what you should be doing and where you place your furniture and everything to make the room work and enhance your wealth and health being, the whole thing.
Flow
So
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something to it. I'm sure there's nothing, there's nothing to walking under ladders and all the rest of that pagan crap. But I'm really sure there is something. And people who are interested, May's got some beautiful jewelry. You check out maypang.com and maypangphotography.com. They're really iconic pieces, and they're very limited edition and designed and made with a lot of love. I know that. But you're also a great cook. You and I both post pictures of our dishes on social media. Did John have a favorite dish that he would like you to cook?
Well, only on Sundays because we had no other time. So Sundays we had the big, the big breakfast, and so it was the, all the Brits understand this one. It's the bacon and eggs, beans on toast, some potatoes and
Fried mushrooms, black pudding.
whatever was around, fried tomatoes, and just do the whole thing. Yeah, and then one other thing that I hated when we finally were able to get it: black pudding.
Black pudding, yeah, blood sausage. Yeah, well, they called it black pudding because if they'd have called it blood sausage, nobody would buy it. It's all in the branding, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it was just terrible. John loved it, and I remember getting it, and I kept looking at it, going,
That's a very Liverpool thing, actually.
It is. And I kept staring at it, kept saying, "Oh my God, how do you cook this thing?" And I remember asking Cynthia.
Yeah.
She said, just fry it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
It stunk up the house.
Yeah.
So, and it was just really weird. And then, and just recently, just to let you know, recently, listen, now it's about 2 weeks ago or something. I was went to Montauk, Long Island.
I'm surprised you can remember. You've been all over this bitch, haven't you?
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to remember. So I went out to Montauk because I found out that I could see the property in the house where John and I were going to buy this house.
I saw the stone cottage.
And it was just, the place was just beautiful. We discovered it when we were on a boat. We were staying with Mick Jagger and Bianca at the time.
Oh, wait, I'll just pick, you dropped a name. I'll pick that up for you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, right. And so Mick and Bianca and their daughter at that time, very tiny, Jade, we went fishing, and Bianca's trying to tell us how to fish. And it's the first time I ever had raw clams. And so we were all out there, and we're in this boat, and John happened to see this house. And he goes, "What's that?" It looks like an imitation Scottish, cottage. Stone cottage. And he goes, "What's that?" And the captain of the boat said, "Oh, listen, that's a stone cottage. It's he goes, and it's up for sale." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Would you like to see it? I could get a realtor there." He goes, "Absolutely." So when we got off the boat, he got a realtor to take us over there to see it. And I remember John saying to me, he goes, "What do you think of the kitchen? It's kind of small." And I'm thinking, it's bigger than the one we have now. I don't know what you're saying.
Right.
And I said, "Of course I can make it work." He just loved it, to the point that when we saw it again, we brought Julian out. And Julian may not remember. We brought him out. We had Joe Johns from who was Neil Aspinall's assistant. And we all went out, and Harold, his lawyer, and we all went out to see it again because we were going to buy it. So that's why. So it's the first time I've seen it now in 50 years. Here I am getting a chance to go back to seeing it.
Well, I still can't get over John and Mick Jagger fishing. It's like two rock stars walk onto a boat. Wow. I just don't picture the
No.
Mick Jagger that I knew as a child holding a fishing
I didn't
rod.
say they were actually going to be fishing. Now I will tell you the person that
They were on
did
a
fish.
fishing boat. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Drinking beer and looking
Yeah.
at fishing.
Bianca did it. She goes, let me show you. And, she's out there. And I'm like, okay, you guys go ahead. I think I'll sit over here.
Just a photo op.
That's
It was
funny.
so a lot of things have come full circle for me in the last year or two. Even when I was in Maine earlier this year, of course, all this is from my exhibition travel. I was in Maine, and this guy comes in. He says, "I just wanted to meet you." I said, "Oh, well, that's interesting." And he goes, "Yeah, my name is Captain Hank." And I said, "I don't, And he goes, "I took John on the boat and sailed. We sailed to Bermuda."
Oh my Lord.
Oh,
And again, like we said before, many people have claimed to have been on that boat that weren't on that boat.
That's true. And I had to ask him, and he told me. And it was three guys that were trying to teach John about sailing: John himself and Captain Hank, who had the boat, who was the sailor.
Wow.
Well, the other three guys got sick. They got seasick. They couldn't deal with it. And it was only John and Captain Hank that was fine. And Captain Hank had to get John to take over the boat because he said, "I haven't slept now for 72 hours," because the other three guys that were supposed to help out, well, forget about them. So he says, "I need to get some sleep, please." And so he talked John through it, and he did. And so the guy can go down and get some sleep.
Wow.
And I said, "Then I said, but that was way after my time with John." So I asked him how far was it from where it was 600 miles they were sailing.
But can you imagine having been through all of that Beatle nonsense and having grown up on the Mersey River and with, family members who went to sea? Can you imagine when everybody's knocked out downstairs, three of them are, staring at the bottom of buckets and Captain Hank's asleep? Can you imagine the feeling of freedom and power that must have given John?
Oh, it definitely did. Captain Hank said that. And he said, "Well, I don't know why you came to me." He goes, "I wasn't supposed to be in this part of the island. I haven't been here in a couple of years.
Oh.
I was in Southwest Harbor." And he heard that I was having in Maine. And he says, "I heard that you were having an exhibition." And, I said, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "I had to come and see you." He goes, "But," I said, "but I wasn't part of that scene when you were with John. I'm long gone." He said, "That's what you think." He goes, "John and I talked." And he goes, "You were brought up." And I said, "Oh."
wow.
So there you go.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, Mark Lindsay, our friend that you spent some time with in Houston, he's saying clearly John could do anything he set his mind to. So.
Oh, absolutely. For sailing, that was the whole thing. That's why he wanted whenever we were going out, our neighbor said, "Oh, I'm going out on the boat." Great, going. He was good.
Yeah.
He knew. So it was fun. There was a lot of things this year. Like I said, I had no idea that I was even talked about with a guy that I have never met in my life.
Well, that's nice to know. But John, he had some really strong, for him, women figures in his life. His mother, who was taken too soon, and then Cynthia, who of course gave him his first baby son, our wonderful Julian. And then Yoko blew his mind with the art world, and then you were like his anchor, weren't you? I mean, how did you Ange had a question about Cynthia.
Yeah, how did you begin your friendship with Cynthia? How did you meet? And
because we were dealing with Julian, I wanted to be sure for John, because he was so nervous about having Julian come see us in LA at the time.
Yeah.
And going back, and I'm thinking about all of this, it was hard for him to face it. He hadn't spoken to Cynthia in years, obviously, since they broke up. And I remembered, Yoko calling up and saying, I don't get along with her, with Julian. So I'm
You're
glad
on
it's you and not me type of thing.
your-
And I just thought, it's what's horrible is for me was because I didn't have a father figure. Or my father figure was not one that,
In your life.
part of my life. And I thought it was terrible for her, and I understood it.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I gave Cynthia, and I told John, I said, I will be there to be the middle person to make it easy for you to deal with Cynthia and for
Mhm.
Cynthia to deal with John, because you never know what was going to happen. So
Oh.
I wanted it to be easy. And I was the middle person also making sure that John dealt with Julian. And
Right.
that was the whole thing. And it worked out. And even after I broke up, I wanted to be sure, Cynthia was okay. And after that, I gave them their closure. They were finally able to talk to each other and get the closure they needed.
Great.
And whenever John called, he didn't have that angst anymore about, oh God, I'm gonna have to talk to Cynthia. It wasn't that anymore.
Before I
It was
get
over.
Julian.
Broken the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was gone. So he would say, oh, how you doing? Who you seeing? Oh, good, you're seeing so-and-so. Oh, send them my love. It was just easy going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were in Ruthin in North Wales when she was,
Yeah.
I think she just married John Twist. And I was playing with Julie. I don't know. I would probably be about 14 or whatever. And Julian and I were going through some books or something, because that was like a big cavernous house, as I remember it. And there were lots of books and lots of, nooks and crannies and stuff. And so we weren't like playing as kids, because I'm 2 years older than him. But the phone rang and Cynthia answered it, and she was, chit-chatting or whatever. And she called for Julian. She said, Julian, it's your dad. But, there were a couple or 3 minutes there on the phone that they were, chatting quite amicably about what's going on and how's the weather and how's Julian doing in school and, the normal things that co-parenting would be about. So, I witnessed only one phone call from John calling Julian, but it was very amicable, and it was kind of like, we're not together anymore. And so you really have a great deal of, pride. You should have a great deal of pride in being able to put that relationship together, because, Julian and Cynthia were each other's everything, kind of like we are.
And I always wanted that, because he needed a father. And I told John that. And, at first when he goes, oh, I wish Cynthia wasn't coming, I said, guess what? You have no rights. And he looked at me like, what are you saying? I said, you haven't been there. How are you going to, why should, she needs to come. She needs to bring, your son, her son. We're there. That's it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he just took it. And he goes, okay, you're right.
I can remember in more recent years that Cynthia and I were on a panel at a Beatle event.
It was the Charles Rosenay
thing.
event.
And Charles suddenly came on the stage with a hand mic and said, I have a guest in the audience. Here comes May Pang. And I froze thinking about Cynthia and May Pang. How's that going to work? And you were both fine with each other. And I didn't know
that you already had made friends.
This relationship.
Yeah.
I remember
thinking friends since the time that Julian, and back since 73. That's how far back. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I took care of her when she would come to New York. She had nobody to go to. And I said, just give me a call. She stayed with me for a couple of weeks at one point. So I wanted her to be sure that she was okay. Julian had her thing, but we were fine. There's not many people know that Cynthia, myself, and Yoko were all in the same room for Julian one day in New York. I was the one that was told to keep moving. I was not allowed.
Spilling the tea on TeaFlix, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Spill alert. What happened?
Well, it was for the Morrison Gallery for Julian. And Harold was there. I was there, some friends, and even Patty Boyd. And we were all there. And they were filming it for, I think, either 60 Minutes or Sunday morning, CBS Sunday Morning. I forgot which one. But because I was there, I was in the backstage area talking. I had told to go. I couldn't stand around Cynthia. Because Cynthia didn't know, she was too busy anyways. I wouldn't make a scene. And I walked out and I said, It's because it was a direct, they knew to keep. It was only supposed to be Yoko and Cynthia.
No.
So it was actually the three of us. It was the only time we three were in the same room together, and Patty Boyd.
Wow, there's a piece of Beatle history.
And you don't even hear that either. So it was none of us there.
That's just amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's totally amazing.
Right.
So how do you remember Cynthia today? So because you went to stay with her in Spain and
Oh,
Mallorca.
I did just before, I went there because when Noelle died, her husband, and, and I was like, I came to see her and see how she was. You could see she was tired. She said, it's your turn. I said, my turn. He goes, truth will ultimately win out. And he goes, it's your turn.
Oh,
I'm tired. I'm done.
She used to phone us about every third Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
midnight. She'd call, and she'd missed a week, and
I wrote to her and didn't get a reply.
Right, she wasn't great with computers. She had me reset all of her passwords and write them all down. And after she'd passed, I gave them to Julian. It kind of freaked him out a little bit, but in case there was anything he needed to get into. So she was just a phone girl, and she'd missed a week. And I was woken up one very early on the 1st into 2nd of April by a little cat we had called Louise, who was just having a conniption fit and nearly tearing my hair out. She jumped on the bed about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and just started clawing at me and meow, 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 and running up and down from the bed to my desk to the phone. And I was like, what is going on? So I got up, had a cup of tea, and I thought, I'll give Cynthia a call. I didn't hear from her last week. And the phone just rang and rang and rang and rang out, and it didn't go to her voicemail. And the two housekeeper people that she had living with, nobody answered. And I thought, something's up. And 10 minutes later, it came across my screen that she'd left us.
I got the phone call in the morning, and I was just like, you just know it. So April 1st, which is supposed to be, your practical, joke day is not a good day. And that's the day,
Right.
I got the call from Celia from the office, and she said, I just want you to know. And I just had a feeling.
After Noel died, I think she just kind of went downhill.
Yeah, she did. She was great. I took Cynthia around everywhere, and there's Billy Amendola. You're right, Billy. She was an amazing woman. I took her to all the different friends, and she had fun. I took her to see the Fab Four. She goes, oh my God, what a great time. She had such fun. I tried to give her fun. Things that she hadn't had in a while. It was good.
Yeah, she always had this the weight of the world upon her shoulders. She always had she had such a distinctive, not just look, but her voice, when you would know in one syllable it was her on the phone. But she always was very kind of quiet and almost melancholy to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like
a sadness hanging over.
Life passed her by, except for, thank God for Julian. Had she not had him,
right,
her life would have just been kind of, sad. I know she and Noel had a love story and all of that stuff, but it was almost like she was missing a piece of the puzzle. I always felt there was a sadness inside her somehow.
So true. I mean, and I just want.
We all had her as a friend, and we've got the lovely memories.
Oh, and I used to when she'd call, every couple of weeks, I always had a filthy joke or an Irish joke or a Scouse joke for her. So, you could put a smile on her face because she had a wicked sense of humor.
Oh, don't I know that? I actually have some drawings that she did of me when she stayed with me. It's really cute. I got to find them.
Yeah, you do. And put them in a fireproof box, please.
Yeah.
And a waterproof if the water keeps rising. Dear God.
Oh, well, thank God I just looked out my window. If it rose up to here, we're in trouble. I'm on the 7th floor. So
you are definitely in trouble. So what is up? I know you've been working with the wonderful archivist and producer Scott Siegelbaum.
Yes.
What's up on your calendar next? You have a show or two before the holidays, right?
Well, yes, I have one more show left for this year, and then we're booked for next year already. The next one is in November, the beginning of November, and we're in White Plains at the One Martine Gallery in White Plains. and we're there like the 7th, 8th, and 9th or something around that date. I don't remember.
November, right?
Yeah, it's November. And then we have the rest of the time off, which would be great. My son's coming to visit me.
Great.
You know, it would be the holidays anyway, so I'm going to do all that. And then we pick it up again towards the end of February of next year.
Well, we've had a couple of people on here saying, Brendan saying, come to Belfast, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever taken the gallery tour overseas, or is it just too much packing and insurance and flying your stuff?
It's all that and tariffs. So it's very difficult.
Oh, gosh, that's right.
It's not as easy as all that. Believe me, if I could find a gallery that could take over some of the stuff, it would be fantastic. But, you know, It's not so simple.
Yeah, I just asked Brendan. He's saying, can you ask Mae if she's thinking to coming to Ireland? The Beatles came in 64, 65 and stayed at the King's Hotel in Belfast.
Oh, my God. I love Ireland. I've been there once.
Oh, it's glorious.
I had a great time. But, you know, I haven't been there since.
Apart from the black pudding, it's glorious.
It's true. But, you know, but it's I love to go back. I love to go travel. I mean, I love that whole area. I love, you know, I'm going on the Flower Power cruise, which of course I'm just sad because another friend just passed away, of course, John Lodge.
I know.
You know, and he said, oh, we'll see each other. His daughter said it to a friend of mine. Oh, we're going to see Mae in next year. And then all of a sudden, you know, he passed away. And he's was a lovely, lovely man, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting lots of questions. Val and Gary again saying any chance of coming to Madison, Wisconsin. So if any gallerists are watching this show, because it will live on YouTube and also the McCartney Times at McCartney.com. If you tune in late or you want to see it again, head over to McCartney.com and it'll be there, and also on our YouTube channel. If there are any gallerists interested, head over
to host us.
Head over to maypang.com. There's a form there that'll go to Scott and to Mae's production team, who will certainly reach back out to you and see if it's feasible. Because, you know, hey, today Menasquus, tomorrow the world. I know I butchered that.
Manasquan.
Like a mannequin. Got it.
It's Indian. Just remember that.
Yes, of course. Well, most of American land is.
Yes. So maybe we need to leave. I mean.
Yes. Well, you know, we're back to. Apparently, we're back to Columbus Day, though. So never mind.
I see. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So for those of you who are regular viewers, you will know that Angie has several books in the marketplace, not the least of which is our new one. And I was telling Mae before that the sponsor of this is Mrs. McCartney's Teas, including the bookstore. And I was sort of inspired by, I picked up In His Own Right, which was, you know, one of John's original books. Mm-hmm. And just thought, well, we should have a crack at twisting the English language. So Ange and I have just put out this book called Words of Wisdom, Twisted English and Linguistic Lunacy for Word Nerds. And it's just a lot of funny old sayings and malapropisms and spoonerisms and palindromes and oxymorons and various things like that. So if you're looking for holiday stuff, first of all, head to Maypang's Jewelry, maypangphotography.com and maypang.com, or head over to Mrs. McCartney's Teas.com, where there are teas and books and fun things, including Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool limericks and other random Irish haikus.
Yes.
So
there you go.
And you are in the book, so you have your own original limerick, but here's a new one that Madam put pen to paper to. And to close it out, I will let you start the count in.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
There once was a muse named Mae Pang, who guided John's lost weekend gang. She sparked number 9, walls and bridges did shine, and his hits were what everyone sang. Ta-da!
I don't think we're getting that, but hey.
I don't think we're getting.
I don't think we're in the running for a Grammy.
No, indeed. So here's another one. Joanne's asking, have you been to Colorado? So looks like you would have lots of takers for lots of galleries and places you haven't been to yet.
Yes, there's still a lot of America to go to. Lots of cities.
There sure is. So head over to maypang.com and fill in the form there, which will go to her production team and to Scott Siegelbaum's office, and see if you can bring Mae to your town, because it's a fantastic show and a great time. So thank you so much, Mae, for carving out the time.
Lovely to see you.
Crazy busy.
Lovely to see you too. I know it's your birthday coming up. Happy birthday, if I don't.
And yours too.
Yeah.
Billy
You're
and
before
Mandela.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're,
That's true.
you're slightly before her.
Yeah.
Then we'll have the party. You
And
must come out.
give Frida a kiss.
I
from-
will give Frida. She
Oh.
already wrote. I'll see her come tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
All right, kids, we will see you all of a sudden next Tuesday. Get your kettles on and your corkscrews out, and we'll see you on TeaFlix.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.